everybody, and welcome to Vicky, Pattison, The Secret 2. Today's guests need absolutely no introduction. They are Hilary and Michael Whitehall, everybody.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right, guys. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I know how busy you are.
No, it's a great pleasure. I mean, it's quite nice to be speaking to you and not being in competition with you, which is when we last met. We were all vying for points for things, weren't we?
Oh, honestly, I did have a nice time doing the John and Lucy show with you, though. Did you?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. I mean, Michael, as you know, struggled a little bit with your accent and a little bit with Lucy's accent, but, you know, that's Michael.
Actually, I can understand every word you're saying now. It was just there that I've had difficulties. I don't know why. Maybe it was having a sort of slightly hard of hearing moment. I don't know.
Well, it was quite a big studio. We were quite separated, weren't we?
Yeah.
It was a big affair. I felt Erkan was so nervous, you know. He spent and he spent the whole train coming home, guys, being like, I should have said this and I should have said that, and like, he just really beat himself up. But I think it'll cut together lovely.
Can I just say, welcome to the world of being in entertainment, because we all do that. We do things, and then you spend the whole the whole post-mortem. Thinking of the things that you should have said that were far funnier than the things that you did say.
And just dissecting it. But then I'm like that with everything. Like, I'm the type of person who gets too emotional and doesn't say anything good in an argument. And then when I'm showering later, I'm like, I should have said this and I should have said that. And but it's all afterwards.
It's a bit like this thing with actors, having spent my life being an actor's agent. Whenever I used to go and see an actor in the theatre in a play, he would always say, when I went to his dressing room afterwards and we had a little chat, the first line, always the same, every actor, every play, you should have come last night.
Yeah.
And you say, why? He said, tonight just wasn't good. The audience were terrible.
Audience. You go, cheers, thanks.
Really bad audience. And my performance wasn't nearly as good as it was last night. You should have come last night. And that went on with me for 35 years.
Decades.
Having different actors and actresses saying to me, you should have come last night, because we were a terrible audience.
But it's just human nature, isn't it? Like, we always are self-critical. We want to be better. So, yeah, I feel like I've tried to tell him, you know, you are fab. Like, we can't all have the comedy timing of the fucking Whitehalls, Jesus Christ. So,
he was brilliant, bless him. And can I just say, he's so gorgeous to look at too. I know that's not everything, but he's pleasing on the eye. Okay. He's a good-looking man.
Okay, but you don't need to go too far with that.
I'm allowed to.
You could be his mother.
I could. Yeah.
I could be his grandfather.
I can't wait to tell him you've said that. He'll be over the moon, bless him. Guys, I know we are recording. I'm not gonna pull any punches. It's December. It's not quite Christmas, but this will go out in Jan. And I'm sure everybody's dying to know a little bit about the old family dynamics at Whitehall HQ. So what does a Christmas look like for you guys?
Let's start with the Grinch first, shall we?
You're so on brand, Michael.
I don't like Christmas, no. I mean, I don't mind Christmas Day, but I hate all the stuff before and all the stuff afterwards. I just like Christmas Day, Christmas morning, that's all nice, and lunch, and then go to bed in the evening. That bit's fine. But it's the fact that it now spreads over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And also, this one is obsessed with Christmas. So she's all jingle bells and decorations everywhere. You're bumping into more and more tinsel and stuff. And I'm amazed I've lasted, because the chances of me getting an electric shock over Christmas because of her lighting arrangements are always very good. And sometimes I think she does it deliberately, hoping I'll tread on some open wires.
I mean, I've got to confess, health and safety, it's a bit of a nightmare in this house over Christmas, because there's a lot of...
It's not your priority. It's not your priority.
No.
Get them plugged in.
all about the aesthetic, isn't it, Hilary? You're like me. I just think more is more. Give me jingle bells out the arsehole. I want them everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And ideally with lights, they've got to be, we argue, it will not surprise you to learn, Vicky, that we argue about this all the time.
She puts so many lights outside this house that people do, and people think this is just a joke. It's not. People come, and if the door is open, they just walk in and say, can I have 2 pints of what? Are you 2 pints of beer and 2 gin and tonics? I said, I beg your pardon. They say, oh, you are a pub, are you? And I said, no, we're not a pub. We're a private house. Oh, sorry, with all the lights, I thought you were a pub. That's how she makes my beautiful house look like to people passing, like a pub.
Oh, but then go on, Hilary, go on.
The thing that we really argue about is that I like multicolored and ideally tracing or flashing or whatever, twinkling. Yeah. He likes white static, which is, to my mind, quite boring. Although I'm looking at your Christmas tree, I'm seeing white behind me there on the lighting.
So, I mean, I really didn't think I was going to be Team Michael here. I thought I was fully going to commit to you. I was always Hilary, but I like very simple, classic, almost a slight rustic feel. So I can't take credit for that. Some fella came and did it for me, but I caught him trying to put like blue roses and blue bits in, and I was like, oh no, we're a neutral household here. So honestly, Michael, I am a bit of a purist when it comes to me decks. I'm with you there, like.
Good, I'm glad you are.
I think I've got a picture of the Christmas tree from last year, which I'm just going to show you because it is very multicolored, and I love it. And every time I go past, I flick it to twinkly. It gets across.
Jack always says the reason I don't like those ziggy-zaggy lights is because they make me think I'm having a heart attack.
No, a stroke.
A stroke.
Yeah.
And I say, it's so ridiculous, Jack. What are you talking about? He said, well, that's what happens, Daddy. You come into the room and they've got theirs on and you think, oh, God, I'm having a stroke. And you're not. You're fine, Michael. Just relax and enjoy them. And I said, no, I'm sorry. It's something to do with having a stroke. I just don't like them. I like simplicity with the lighting.
I can't find it now, but
I
will.
Just like what you like.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Boring, in other words.
Apart from your decorations, what, like, surely is, the family's grown now. You've got your granddaughter and everything. Is it a bit of a madhouse? Does everyone come to use?
Well, I think they are coming. We've got everybody this year. We haven't got 2 of the partners, but we've got our family, and our son-in-law is coming, obviously, with Peggy. But I think because two of them have got partners with split families, as it were, so that dilutes it a third way.
Yeah.
So I think the likelihood of us all being together again is on the actual day is quite remote. So we're going to make the most of it this year because we're all going to be together, which will be lovely. The big discussion point / family argument is always about the timing of the meal. Because in Michael's mind, it's either lunch or dinner. And all of our young folk, you might well, again, buy into this particular Christmas theme. They like to eat at about 5 o'clock. And his argument is, what meal is that? What meal is that?
Michael, I'm going to say it again. I fucking agree with you, mate.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. What meal is that? Like, I think it's too early to have a Christmas lunch. Like, if you've got up at a reasonable time and done your presents and had a bacon sandwich and a Bucks Fizz, whatever, I'm not hungry at 12 or 1. So, I definitely do it as more of a Christmas dinner, you know. Yeah. But I agree with you on the 5 o'clock. Like, what is that?
Late afternoon, that's when they like to eat.
They do. I think my problem with Christmas dinner, as the person who for decades has cooked it, is that that's my day written off, because the whole day really is preparing dinner. So although I do obviously open presents and have that element of jollity, there's a lot of nipping back into the kitchen to check something.
So that's why you do the roasties.
Exactly. I think probably though this year, I think last year we did lunch, and I think this year we probably will do dinner.
Yeah.
Because we've got Peggy, and Peggy has a sleep in the middle of the day, but it's not the right time for us to have lunch and all of that. So that's complicated. So I think we'll probably do dinner.
There's so many moving parts to consider, isn't there? But I bet you it'll be chaos and it'll be lovely.
It will, Michael.
It will, Hilary.
Yes.
As long as we just have it for the one day. Get those decks down on Boxing Day and get them all that rubbish to the dump. Except that the dump is open on Boxing Day, so we have to wait till the day after. But
so sorry, my door's going down.
That Christmas present being delivered?
No, I've already got him his Christmas present. He's always when he goes out to walk the dog, he's like layered up in about 6 or 7 different like thin jackets. So I bought him a nice big North Face coat to walk the dog.
Nice. Yeah.
I thought it's quite selfish really, because I'm clearly saying fucking get out and walk the dog
exactly. more. What sort of dog have you got?
If I could get do you know what? Milo's normally like crawling all over the table, but let me see if I can get him to come and play with. Well, hang on.
Okay.
This is Milo.
This is a proper big dog. Hello, Milo.
He's a big
dog. Is it a Labrador? Or
is it a yeah, I'm going to go and get our dog, Michael.
Already my favourite podcast record ever. He's a good boy. It's called Milo. Michael, he's going to be 2 in January.
Milo.
Yeah. Milo.
Yeah.
There he is. Oh, you've only got
I can only see its rear end at the moment. It looks very good from that angle.
Oh, Milo. Show your new friends. This
Milo.
This.
We see your front, Milo.
So ignorant.
And turn round and talk to Michael.
Look,
that's better. Well, slightly better.
You can hear his dad. That's the problem.
I mean, this has literally descended into chaos. Look, this is
Philly.
Oh my God, who's this?
Philly.
This is Philomena, Philly, who looks like a dog that's been left out in the rain and shrunk.
She honestly, when you first brought her over, like she just looked like a mini Milo.
Yes, everyone always says, "Oh, look at the puppy," and I go, "Actually, she's 10 and a half. She's not a puppy." Look,
she looks well for that, though, doesn't she?
She is. She's a very good girl.
Oh, I wish I could say the same thing about Milo, but look at this prick.
It's a very odd position. Doesn't look terribly relaxed, I would say, would you?
No, honestly, Michael, he wants to be, he's heard the door go, so he wants to be out there barking at the delivery man. He knows his dad's not here, so he knows he can work himself. He is mostly just up to no good all of the time, if I'm honest as well. I don't discipline him very well. I'm terrible. He's so cute.
Is this what's going to happen with your children? That you'll not be disciplining them and they'll be rushing around all out of control?
Yeah, Hilary, we were talking about this. I'm having feral kids and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm absolutely fine with that. Like, I want them covered in like chocolate and snot and running around and being full of fun and adventure and always being polite. God, I couldn't cope if I didn't have polite, bright kids. But no, I think like I just want them to be sassy and smart and cheeky.
Well, the secret to, I mean, I know you like to have what is the secret to? I would say the secret to polite children, I'm afraid, is you do have to start early and you have to nag. In terms of, when they meet people, you say hello to so-and-so, can you look at them in the eye, please? Don't look at your shoes when you're speaking to people. It's a constant nag, and then they just get it. It's sort of
repetition. Yeah.
So, my little Barney, who's our baby, who's now 30, he was conditioned.
Barney particularly wants you to be telling people that he's your little baby.
He's my baby.
He's a man. He's a man engaged to be married.
Yes, he is.
And he's not a little baby. Baby.
He was renowned. If you remember when he was a little boy, people used to say, "Hello, Barney, how are you?" And he'd say, "I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?"
Yes, he did say that.
He was so sweet.
He said, and most people, if you say, "Hello, how are you?" they just say, "Fine," or they never say, "But how are you?" It always used to piss people off slightly. They used to
used to get thrown.
Saying, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Why did he say that?
So polite. Oh, Do you know what though? I know you're giving me a piece of advice there, and I sort of must ask about your amazing new podcast in which you're giving everyone advice. I hear it's called the Witter and Whitehalls. Have I got that right?
That's it. It's got the word wit in it for good reason, I hope.
Obvious reasons. Your cervic tongue over there, sir.
And she gives all the advice.
Right.
And you contradict it.
I contradict it. So you usually end up not really getting anywhere in terms of bringing up for advice because is it email? Emailing, because she's all, oh, yes, and then I say, that's all absolute rubbish, what you've just said.
Yeah, usually you come out with 2 words, one of which begins with F.
No, I don't. What, you think I would say that to people who are on the interweb or whatever it's called?
Interweb.
The internet.
You quite often do say get an effing life to people when they're...
Yes, I have occasionally said, I think what you should do, to be honest, is to just get a life.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how you're censoring yourself for my podcast, Michael, knowing fine well I've got a complete mouth like a sailor.
Yeah, you can say it.
Right.
But I have to say that our guest has been flabbered with the podcast because I cannot believe how many people email in.
No, I can believe that.
The quality of the emails is amazing. They're really good quality.
Well, you mean posh people, right?
I mean, content.
All the people who bring in or whatever, email in, they're all sort of, hello, thank you so much for really enjoying. Sorry, darling, I'm just putting my monocle on because I can't see anything.
That is not what I meant, and you know it.
Well, you said
I
the
meant
quality of
the content. The questions they ask are clever, well thought out, intelligent, and we've been inundated with them, which is fantastic. People have really engaged with it.
Well, I'm not surprised because, I love the witty repartee between the two of you here, but quite clearly you're doing something right because you've got X amount of years of successful marriage behind you. So people are coming to the right place to ask for advice. Well,
chances are that at most topics we will have argued about in 36 years.
Fair enough, mate.
You do.
Yeah.
Do we argue? I don't know. I mean, you occasionally interrupt me because, I wouldn't call that arguing.
Listening to this speaking.
What? You do sometimes interrupt me.
Outrageous.
I would prefer it if you didn't all the time, because if somebody wants to know something, I will obviously have the answer.
Obviously.
I'm in my 80s. I've been around a long time. I've got a lot of wisdom in here.
You have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas you sort of blethering away about whatever wittering away.
Yeah.
That's not what people want. They want firm, decisive opinions on things.
And boy, do you have them. Is all I'm going to say.
In abundance, I would say.
Yes, exactly.
So what is the weirdest thing anyone has ever wrote in to ask?
We did have one about somebody wrote in about their father who insisted on not wearing any clothes at home.
Yes, that was weird.
Quite weird, and went into quite a lot of detail about what he did whilst wearing no clothes at home. And I think the only
was it like housework and stuff?
Yes, housework and
And the person said to me, was it a lady?
It's a lady.
A lady, and she said to me, "I'm sure you wouldn't do that, would you, Michael?" And I thought, do I need to answer that question? Look at me. Do I look like somebody who will be wandering around with no clothes on? No way. I dress when I get into the bath. Why would I wander around the house? Or presumably she thought maybe around the streets with nothing.
Well, that was my final piece of advice. I said, do you know what? If he's happy, I wouldn't worry about it. I said, you only need to worry if he crosses the threshold of that front door with no clothes on and decides to take this as an outside activity amongst the public, then you're in trouble.
Especially in this weather, this time of year, Hilary. You'll get frostbite where nobody wants frostbite.
Yes, things will fall off. Things will fall off. Don't want to do it. Yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah. Exactly. But yes, I mean, we've had some other slightly wacky ones about, the odd recipes come in and things like that, which, and we had a couple who wrote in and they were from overseas. I can't remember which country they were from. No, I can't remember, but they were a young couple who'd been together for a few years, and they were very into slightly older pursuits. They preferred older people. So they liked to play chess and they liked to read books together, and they didn't have a television. And they said, did you find when you were younger that you had this particular thing? And I had to say, no, I quite like going out actually and getting, absolutely hammered in the pub with my mates. I can't say I did, but, embrace who you are. If that's what you love, then go with it,
Playing chess is so weird.
Yeah, we talked about the fact
that... I said to them, why would you play? I don't even know. You see chess pieces on a board sometimes decoratively, and I think, what the fuck do you do with those things? You move them around the board. Have you got nothing else to do with your life?
No, they loved it.
Put these things over a board. Come on.
They're in their 20s, these people.
20s. Yeah.
I know all the right.
We're going out in the town tonight. We might do a few drugs, or we might do a bit of this, a bit of that. And these people are sitting there saying, would you like a game of chess, darling? Oh, cheeky you, yes.
Naked chess.
Yes.
Invite that fella around and then it might be a bit of a laugh.
Exactly.
Maybe we should have said that to that man.
I may have to revisit that letter, that email. Yeah.
So have you ever thought of playing naked chess with yourself in front of a mirror? That would
that is quite weird, yeah.
Guys, that's the end of part 1. I can't wait to have you back in part 2. Hello guys, and welcome back to part 2 of Vicky, Pattison, The Secret 2. This week I am joined by two of my absolute favourite people in the industry. It is Michael and Hilary Whitehall. Hi guys, thank you for coming back.
Hello.
Some people not come back, but some people stop them at the end of part 1 and they said, no, please, would you stay? No, we're off. Off up the road.
Can I just say,
if anyone was going to not come back in the whole history of Vicky, Pattison, The Secret 2, it would be fucking you, Michael. You've got that written all over you, cheeky little minx.
I have to say, Michael and Jack had a really funny not quite not coming back, but they used to do a chat show called Back Chat on the and it was Jack as a chat show host. The idea was that Michael was going to sit in a chair, just not saying anything, but just this sort of presence in the corner. Needless to say, he started speaking episode 1, so that didn't work. But one of the guests they had on it on one occasion was Joan Collins, Dame Joan Collins. Did the show
gosh! So
with Miranda Hart. Yeah, big guests. And so it was Miranda Hart, Dame Joan Collins. And Joan was a little bit, I'm not sure how much she wanted to be there. So there was a little bit of, cajoling her into the show and getting reluctant and everything. And after about 45 minutes, there was the producer came on and said, we're just going to have a quick break. We just got a quick technical thing we've got to do. And she got up and started walking off. And somebody said, excuse me, Dame Joan, where are you going? She said, well, I'm going. I've got dinner reservations. And they said, but we haven't finished recording. She said, right, I don't care. I've got to go for dinner. And Jack went over and said, I'm really sorry, Dame Joan, but we haven't actually finished the record. We can't have you missing for the rest of it. And she said, well, what do I do about dinner? And he said, well, we'll see if we can get someone to change the reservation. And Miranda Hart said, don't leave me here on my own. It'll look really weird if you've gone because it'll look like I've upset you. And she said, oh, God, well, I hadn't even been offered a drink. So then somebody had to go and find a bottle of champagne, and the champagne had to be brought out for them. That was the only way that she was going to stay. Anyway, she did stay.
But then, I aspire to be at that level where people can change my reservations for me and bring me champagne. Like,
that's you, so you.
What?
You've got a dinner reservation, you get up and go.
Yeah.
Oh, I might do that. No, but Joan Collins,
Dame Joan to you.
Yeah, how did she get that? How did she get that dame?
Services to charity.
Services to champagne, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly not services to acting. She definitely didn't get it for that, I can tell you.
Oh, God. There you go. There's your headline.
What?
Vicky, you've got your headline.
No.
Michael Whitehalls says Dame Joan Collins definitely didn't get her damehood for acting.
The press can just pick and choose what they want from Michael, though, can't they? Like, you just give so many saucy sound bites.
Yeah, exactly.
You could do a highlight show and you would only need my remarks in it. You wouldn't need to ask anyone else who's been on your show. They'd like to be part of the highlight show. You could just use bits that I'm said over this one.
Yeah, your rudeness.
Yes. No, it's not rude. It's in my opinion. What?
In my opinion. You always said, well, of course it's my opinion because I'm saying it. You said you don't like
No, I don't. I don't like people who say, in my opinion, because you think, whose else's opinion would you be talking about other than your own opinion? So you don't need to say, in my opinion. No, why did I just say it?
Just said, in my opinion, yeah.
Because I'm so nervous.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You seem it, Michael. I will say, if anyone's going to have an opinion, though, about somebody's acting ability, you're in a good position to do so. How many years were you an agent for?
What do you think?
Well, I became an agent in 1969, and I suppose in a way I still am.
Yes, because
I'm still talking about flogging a dead horse. I'm still trying to get Madam here, the odd job.
We do have an agent for the two of us as well.
But I mean, and I do things for Jack.
Mm,
so how long ago is 1969?
69 is 70, 30, 40, 50, 52, 53 years. 53, but I think you really gave up being an agent proper about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I really stopped.
40 years.
Stopped 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And of course, you were an actress as well, Hilary, weren't you?
I was. In fact, I still am, because the new series of Bad Education.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yes. And I am in it because I was in the original series playing one of the kids' mothers. And now that kid, the lovely Leighton Williams, the talented and gorgeous Leighton Williams, is playing a teacher. And they've brought his mother back as well.
No. Which one was Leighton? Who did he play? Because honestly, I loved that
one. He was always dancing and, the very out there one. And I played his mum. And they brought his mum back.
Congratulations. I know when I was speaking to you last time, I said my favourite thing I thought Jack had been in was Fresh Meat, which I absolutely stand by. I loved it,
Yeah,
I forgot about Bad Education. I absolutely loved that as well. And didn't they do a film? I'm sure I watched that and all.
Yeah,
I was in the film as well.
Where did they end up? Somewhere like Cornwall, yes. I thought so.
You got a great cast for that because they had Ian Glenn was in it, the guy from Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
he played Danny in it.
Tom Davies.
Yes, and Joanna Scanlon, who of course won the BAFTA this year for the film that she did. So technically, I've been on screen because all my stuff was with Jo Scanlon. I've been on screen with the BAFTA winner. She is
claim the same there, Hilary.
I love Joanna Scanlon. She's just the most awesome actress and the most awesome person. So we had a lot of fun down in Cornwall.
When you said a bit earlier about Jack asking you, or you did this job and that job, you actually, the truth is that you crowbarred your way into those shows. You didn't sit there saying, I wonder whether Jack will ask me to be in his next film. No, you're
Hilary, I think a proactive female.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
I mean, I think of all the times I drove Jack round to his shitty gigs when he was first starting out as a comedian. And because he can't drive, he still can't drive. So he would say to me at 7:00, oh, mums, can you take me to Chertsey? I've got a gig. And I'd go, really? Can you not get the train? He said, no, the trains are all messed up. Do you mind taking me? So I'd drive him down to Chertsey to do his gig, sit in the audience and then drive him back. So I said, when it came to Bad Education, etc., I said, it's payback time now, Jack.
100%.
Tax services. Yeah.
you've got to get yours, like, in a similar sense. Like, obviously, I'm not in a position to give my mum, like, fucking acting roles or anything. Mine and Jack's life is quite different. But my mum, I can't remember the amount of times when I was going back to uni, she had to give us money to get the train, or, you know, she had to, like, subsidise my life in some way because I just mismanaged my money or whatever. And now, like, I like to think, like, I'm in a nice position to sort of spoil her back. So no, it's the cycle of things, and you're getting yours, and it's well deserved, Hilary.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Obviously, everything's worked out amazing for Jack, and I'm over the moon because I've always liked him, and I like you now, so I can see why he's so lovely. But what was your first thought when he said he wanted to be a comedian? Because he'd had a wicked education, hadn't he? Like, you gave him the best start in life money could buy. So were you a little bit shocked?
Yes, we were.
I think we were shocked. I didn't want him to be an actor, which is what he wanted to be. I mean, he wanted to be an actor to start with, not a comedian. And I said, if you're an actor, you'll be out of work for the rest of your life, which is what most actors are. So don't do that. Do something else. So I thought that he might become an artist, because he was still does wonderful cartoons, drawings, paints brilliantly. I mean, only as a hobby, but he's a brilliant artist. I thought you could be or you could be a lawyer. Quite like the idea of you being a barrister. You'd be very dashing in all that black and robes and all wigs. That and wigs. Anyway, he then decided that he was going to be a comedian. And I have to say, I was very supportive of him because he worked so hard. And some of the stories he would tell us about, he lived with us in our house, not this house, but the house we lived in before. And he and all his mates would be going out to some event or dinner or something or other. And then he'd say at the last minute, I can't do this because I've got a gig tonight. I'll see you later. I'll see you guys later, but I've got to go and do this gig in, let's say,
it was when he was in Manchester at university.
Yeah.
He would go off to Liverpool or Bolton or Oldham or, Burnley, whatever. He'd have a gig, and then he'd meet them much later at the club that they'd all gone to.
And that's
sacrifice that at that age, isn't it? Like, not a lot of people would have done that.
Jack, do you really want, so where are you going? He said, well, it's a pub in wherever it is. Once you go north of sort of Kensington, I never know where anywhere it is up north. So, but it would be those sort of places. And I remember him coming back one evening and looking really depressed. And I said, are you all right, Jack? And he said, no. I'm not really. I mean, it was so awful tonight. And I said, well, what happened then? He said, well, I got to this pub and it was packed with people, all sort of drinking and everything. And I looked around and I thought, well, there wasn't a stage or anything like that. And I said to the guy behind the bar, is there somebody connected with it? Because I'm doing a show here tonight, comedy. So he said, oh, no, just hang on a minute. And then he talked to somebody else behind the bar. He said, yeah, if you go, you see that corner over there of that room? If you just go over there and then just start, really. And how long do you want to do? And he said, well, I can do 10, 15 minutes. So Jack said, all right, well, I'll go. Is there a stage on it? No, there's no stage. Do you have a mic? No, we don't have a mic. Oh,
he said, if you just get going, then come back and I'll give you the 20 quid. It was 20 quid or whatever it was for his 15
So he went over to the corner of the room and he started doing a lot of, evening, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jack Whitehall and all that. And there was nobody even looking at him. They were all standing going, right, hi, is it 2 beers over here, please? And so and he
demoralising.
And he said, I was like the madman in the corner of the room. You go in the pub and there's a weird man in the corner telling jokes to himself.
To himself?
Yes. That was the worst night I ever had. That was where I reached rock bottom.
Yeah.
And anyway, that was the worst time. But he stuck to it and carried on and did it. And then he went to the Edinburgh Festival and did a couple of seasons there.
No, he definitely earned his spurs. I'd always said to him, go north to university, Jack, because you need to learn about the north anyway. It's a great country. It's a great part of the country up north, and the people are very different. And also from a comedy point of view, you're going to earn your spurs up there. If you can survive on Saturday night in Liverpool with that accent, you can survive anywhere.
It's a very good point that you've made, Hilary. Honestly, I swear. I went to uni in Liverpool, and some of my that's where I went. And some of my favourite nights out were at a comedy club at the Docks, and it was savage, mate. Yeah. Absolutely savage. Like if somebody wasn't bringing their A game, or if somebody in the audience didn't particularly vibe off their comedy, like they let you know. And there was a real sense of like eat or be eaten, and I was just happy to be there. I love a good night out. I love laughing. So I would never have heckled, but God, some people had no problem doing it. So I reckon he's probably really earned his stripes, and you can see like he's so brilliant and so professional now. But it's interesting to see that, God, how difficult the come up probably was for him,
Yeah. No, it's you've got to put the work, as with anything. I forget there's that famous phrase. It's not 60,000 hours, but if you want to be the best at something, you have to put the hours in. I mean, you work in this industry. You have to, as you say, you have to be on your A game all the time. It's very competitive. There's always somebody snapping at your heels to take your place. It's a competitive, ruthless, difficult game, and you have to know what you're doing.
And he does, and he's got used to guide him as well. So I'm so pleased with that.
We got a bit serious there, didn't we?
I know, yeah. I was like, oh, fuck this. I feel like I'm just going to have to swear or something again just to bring the tone down. My mum and my grandma and all that, my family who always looked out for me, they never really thought they never really sort of thought what I was doing was going to amount to anything. And like for me mum, the moment where that all changed was when I did The Jungle. And sadly, like my grandma's not with her anymore, but I reckon for her it would have been if I'd got a chance to do Strictly. Has there been a moment where you've thought, oh my God, we've made it now, or oh my God, Jack's made it now? Some big moment that's made you think, Jesus, we're really famous?
Not about us, but certainly with Jack going to the O2 for the first time and seeing all those people in the O2 and actually feeling slightly sick, thinking, oh my God, I hope he knows what he's doing. This is a whole different level. Do you remember?
Panic.
Yeah, because we used to go and stand outside theatres that he was appearing at, but not as the star.
Yeah.
And I'd be all looking around saying, well, there don't seem to be many people here. And poor Jack's going to do the show and there'll be nobody in the audience. How awful. But then dissolve, and then we're outside the O2 and it says Jack Whitehall. And
it's like,
and these people sort of queuing and it's sold out. And I'm thinking, amazing. God.
Oh, but that's such a lovely moment for you as parents, is it not?
Yeah, no, it's just extraordinary. But I mean, we're proud of all our children. I mean, we've got two others who don't get quite so much of the limelight, but obviously they do with us because we love and adore them all equally. But Molly's obviously married and has a baby, and she has a very successful PR company, and she works in a slightly different end of the industry because she does documentaries. So she's been involved with 2 Oscar winners, doing the campaigns for those films that have won Oscars. That's exciting. Barney does social media and actually does quite a lot with Jack, and actually is quite good at guiding Jack in terms of things like brand partnerships and things like that. And he's very good at ferreting out. He's a people person, Barney is. He's very good with people and sort of ferreting out little deals for people. And, they're all good in their own way.
You're such a brilliant mum. Like, honestly, my mum does exactly the same thing. If anybody comes up to her, Hilary, and goes, oh, you must be so proud of your daughter, X, Y, and Z, she goes, I'm proud of both my daughters. Because I've got a sister who couldn't imagine anything worse than being fucking telly. Like, she thinks I'm mental. I remember when I flew to Australia to do I'm a Celebrity, you get like 2 seats, like you can bring 2 people with you. And I said to Laura, like, your mum's going to come. Do you want to come as well? And she was like, what? On a fucking 24-hour flight to the other side of the world? She was like, and then when I get there, they're going to want us to talk on camera. She was like, I can't imagine anything worse. No. So, turned it down point blank, and like, her life is so much different to mine, but it doesn't mean that it's any less exciting and brilliant and fulfilling for her. She's got this gorgeous little girl and a lovely husband. And yeah, my mum says exactly the same thing that you've just said there, Hilary. I'm proud of me kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes sometimes Molly will not lose it, but just sort of say philosophically, she'll say, you know, so-and-so. And I say, oh, yeah, I saw him last night. Oh, how was he? Yeah, he was fine. And did you chat? No, not really. I was actually a bit pissed off with him. And I said, why? And he said, well, he came over to me and said, oh, hello. How's Jack?
How's Jack?
And she said, Jack's fine, and I'm fine too, actually.
Yeah, how's Molly?
Yeah. And actually, at one stage, we were offered by the BBC, they wanted to do a sort of Kardashians with the Whitehalls.
Meet the Whitehalls. Oh my God, I would 110% watch it.
But the problem was that neither Molly nor Barney said, over my dead body.
Of course he did.
Sees the camera, he immediately gets behind it. He said, there is no way on God's earth I'm doing that. Just don't even go there. I think we both felt that, you know, if you're going to do that, you've got to have everyone in it.
I didn't want to do it either, nor did Molly. I'll tell you who did want to do it.
Of course I did. I mean, Jack and I could have done it. Yeah.
Jack's got to get it from somewhere, Hilary. Come on.
Exactly.
But then you really enjoyed a moment in the spotlight recently as well, Michael. And my first, obviously I fell in love with Jack on all the different shows he did. But when I first was introduced to Travels with My Father, I fell in love with you as well, you know. And you just, did you expect it being as successful as it was? It's been incredible.
We thought it was just going to be one series. And it wasn't a particularly original idea. I mean, quite a nice idea. Although, of course, since we did it, all these other shows have suddenly come out of the woodwork with people doing things with their fathers and son. And actually, on a serious note, it was really nice to spend, you know, how many 82-year-old men can spend that amount of time with their 30-year-old sons and go around the world going to places that you've never been to before. I mean, it was pretty amazing. The only person I think, and we did get very good reviews and good ratings. The only person I think who probably didn't that much enjoy it quite as much is because she always said, what's wrong with Travels with My Mother? It has a very nice ring to it. Travels with My Mother, sweet boy with his lovely mother going around the world.
Yeah.
Where did this father thing come from? I always said, it's only because I'm so old. He thought, you know, I better get on with this and do Travels with My Father before he kicks the bucket. Then I'll do a sequel, which will be Travels with My Mother.
I get that it was a much funnier dynamic. Jack would call me and say, Daddy's being an absolute nightmare because he won't do blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, you picked the wrong parent. I've told you that. You picked the wrong bloody parent.
Just so pragmatic. Just so no sympathy. You've got the wrong one. Is there going to be a Travels with My Mother spin-off? Because I would so watch that as well.
I don't think so. I live in hope that there might be, Jack might have some creative thought about something that we can do together. We could do Panto together, maybe.
Oh, he's behind you. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, yes, he is. Yeah.
Maybe we could do a show with Joan Collins.
Nice, Dave, Joan, and me. Yes. Yeah, I like it.
Could be called Two Old Girls on the Town. Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
I would just pay to see you both get pissed, to be honest. I feel like I would absolutely watch that as well. I know you didn't really love some of the places you visited, Michael, but surely there must have been a highlight Was there a place you particularly loved, or somewhere that you didn't get to visit that's still on the bucket list potentially?
Was there any bucket list stuff? Well, we would like to have gone to South America, but that never happened.
I mean, we did like Australia. That was you've been to Australia. It's a great place. Yeah. There's great energy there. They're great doers, the Aussies, aren't they?
Yeah, I like.
The problem with Australia for me was that being there for that amount of time is that it's full of Australians, which, it's just kind of, I mean, normally, if you're in London and you go to a pub and it's full of Australians, you just leave the pub, obviously. But if you're in a country that's full of Australians,
you're fucked.
Quite tricky.
Yeah.
And they kept coming up to us all the time, didn't they? I mean, they were very sweet. I'm not saying I didn't like them, but there were an awful lot of them.
You definitely, my feeling when Michael used to come back and tell me about all of these things, I mean, obviously I dipped in and out of the latter series, but you definitely, I think, appreciated slightly more the poorer countries. So, for instance, I remember you loved Cambodia.
Yes,
so the people there were just so.
I mean, it was very depressing, Cambodia, but the people were amazing.
And the same with
history.
Moldova.
Yeah,
which is the poorest country in Europe. I mean, it's a tiny country just between Romania and the Ukraine. And again, you said the people there were just so thrilled that they'd bothered to go and visit and try and, actually highlight a bit of their country.
And Ukraine, actually.
You loved the Ukraine, didn't you? Yeah.
No, so there were, there were other moments aside from the comedy.
The least favourite that you went to, and I was there for this because I arrived at this was Vegas. He hated Vegas.
You don't strike me as a Vegas person, Michael, actually.
Awful.
And it didn't help that when we arrived in Vegas, the weather, I mean, we are recording this in December, so everyone will remember what the weather was like today. It's freezing. And when we arrived in Vegas, there was a blizzard blowing down the strip. It was freezing. We had to go out and buy coats. We were so cold.
You just don't imagine it because it's in a desert, right? I didn't even know it could reach those temperatures.
It doesn't. It was the first snow they'd had in 18 years or something. It was ridiculous. Anyway, you didn't come out of the room for 3 days because we were waiting for Jack to get back because he'd been doing the Brits.
I just stayed in the room because 3 days. In Vegas, the rooms are very similar to being outside on the pavements because the pavements are all like the rooms are in that sort of plastic stuff.
You go through a hotel and you think you're outside because of the sky, and then you realise that the sky is being projected onto a ceiling.
I've never been.
You've never been. It's a really weird place.
Guys, I can't really get into America, to be honest. I was a right arsehole when I was younger, so they won't have me back. But I've heard good things.
Yeah, I think you're not missing much.
Well, thank you. You've made me feel an awful lot better. Guys, before I let you go, here at Vicky Pattison The Secret To, we always ask our gorgeous guests to give our lovely listeners some pearls of wisdom. And I feel like you have so much wonderful advice to offer, but people can tune in to Whittering with the Whitehalls for that. I want to know what your secret is to a successful marriage. I mean, 36 years, guys. You're both still alive. I know you both still love each other and you've got 3 gorgeous kids. So come on, what's the big secret?
What's your secret, Michael?
I think the only reason that you're still hanging around is because
I've read your will.
But funnily enough, because of our sense of humour.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think I'd miss my jokes and I'd miss yours. Not just jokes, but the whole chat.
Yeah. I mean,
we row quite a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Everyone does. That's
the side. Yeah. I think literally, well, you'll have seen on the podcast, he literally can still render me speechless with laughter because he makes me laugh so much because he's got a great sense of humour. But actually, in terms of rowing, my mother gave me a piece of advice. obviously knew we were going to be rowing. No, I think they quite liked it. What my father used to call a Scotch discussion, when I said, don't row. We're not rowing, we're having a Scotch discussion. But my mother always said to me, never, ever, ever let the sun go down on an argument. And I think that's a very sage piece of advice. You should always just try and work through it before you go to bed, because you don't want to start a whole other, neither of us are sulkers. But you just got to get it, talk it through and then park it and leave it behind. It's good advice, Hilary. Like, honestly, I can't tell you how many toxic relationships I've had. You're lying in bed next to someone who hates you or is mad at you. Like, you just don't get a good night's sleep. You end up tossing and turning, and then you wake up the next day and it continues. No, I think it's super unhealthy. That advice that you've just given wouldn't surprise me if it is the actual secret too. Yeah. I love you guys together. I feel like, you're the best. The only other piece of advice I'd give, we've got 3 pearls. Humour. Don't let the sun go down on an argument. And number 3 is pick your battles.
Oh yeah, I need to learn that one.
You think, do you know what? There's no point in wasting my breath on this one. It's not that important. I'll leave it till the next thing that really is important.
Then I'll leave it till I'm really mad. Then I'll explode.
I'm really good for it. What is for supper?
Yeah.
I've actually bought, Vicky, this is quite weird, I have to say, because we're recording this well before Christmas. But there's been bird flu and there's a whole problem with turkeys. I
did hear this.
Yeah.
You got a turkey for tonight?
I bought a turkey. I saw a turkey breast joint in M&S and I thought, I'm having that because
we're having turkey tonight.
We are.
Well, then that says you can cancel the main one then.
Because we need that for when everyone arrives.
I don't want turkey tonight and then turkey then.
It's not a dress rehearsal.
No.
It's like a little practice, Michael, man. You'll like it.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you having turkey for Christmas?
We God, I feel like such a hypocrite now because I've just told you to get on with it there, Michael. But I think turkey tastes like napkins. I don't like it at all. I think it's bland and basic.
How very dare you!
Sorry. I'm gonna I did MasterChef, didn't I? So I fancy myself a bit of a dab hand in the kitchen. So I'm gonna do like stuffed chicken breasts. So like the stuffing, the cranberry sauce, some pancetta, and then wrapped in like Parma ham, like all like little flattened chicken breasts like that. And it's only me and Erkan this year, so a turkey would just be a waste.
Oh, you're not with your family?
You always want to cook.
Oh yeah, I'm obsessed.
Very rude. I don't know whether it's a family show. It's very rude now.
The other day, because there is a thing called a turkducken, which is a turkey, chicken, duck, and you can have other quail. It's like a 3 or 4 bird roast.
And you shove them inside of each other, do you?
That's right. Then when you carve it, it's got different meats.
And it's called a turkducken.
No, turkducken. But then the other day, I literally lost it on the podcast because I found out what the vegan equivalent was, and it's called a tufucken. This is made of tofu, a tufucken. And I literally couldn't speak. I was laughing so much. I said, Michael, we can have a tufucken for Christmas.
Only time I've ever wanted to be vegan is to be able to say that.
Yes, we're having tufucken for Christmas.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with your Christmas, guys. If you do that sort of, I forget what it's called, but like the Russian nest and dolls of like
it's called a turkducken.
Whatever you do, I'm sure it'll be fantastic. And thank you so much for being wonderful guests, as I knew you would be.
Pleasure. And a very sorry, I'm not allowed to say Merry Christmas because he says it's American. Happy Christmas.
The word merry is not a thing in the English dictionary. You don't talk about merry. We had a very merry time last night. No, you wouldn't ever say that. You'd say we had a happy time or you had a funny time. We don't use the word. But now we've taken over merry because we just take over every American word that's going. And therefore, we start saying to each other, Merry Christmas. Well, it's Happy Christmas.
A very happy Christmas to you.
I actually had in my notes from my producer, get Michael to have a rant about Christmas. So thank you for making that possible.
Pleasure.
Box ticked. Not difficult. Box ticked. Welcome to my world.
Wonderful.